Noah lay still for a moment, feeling the damp, cold stone beneath him, the cave's shadows stretching like silent guardians. His body was battered and bruised from the earlier encounters, his energy nearly spent. Every joint ached, every breath felt shallow, and he realized moving forward alone was impossible. He shifted slightly and noticed the injured animal, the hybrid creature who had been his silent companion through countless dangers, standing over him. Its eyes glowed softly in the dim light, full of understanding, intelligence, and unspoken determination. Noah attempted to rise, but his legs betrayed him. The hybrid creature gently nudged him, a low rumble vibrating from its chest. It was as if it understood his dilemma. Noah could not make it out of the cave on his own, and the jungle beyond would be no kinder. With a soft, almost comforting sound, the creature lowered its body, inviting Noah to climb onto its back. Carefully, Noah clambered onto the creature, clutching its neck for support. The hybrid creature's strong muscles tensed beneath him, then, with surprising agility, it navigated the treacherous cave passages. Stalactites loomed overhead, jagged and dangerous, while uneven rocky ground threatened to topple them at any step. But the creature moved with precision and care, its instincts guiding them safely. Each step was a test of balance, each leap a calculation of strength. Outside the cave, the morning sunlight broke through the dense canopy, revealing a small clearing. Noah exhaled, his breath trembling with relief. The air was thick with the scents of damp soil, moss, and the faint perfume of exotic flowers. The hybrid creature paused, letting Noah slide gently to the ground. He took in the sight before him, endless towering trees, their leaves shimmering with dew, and the faint hum of distant wildlife echoing through the forest. Despite the beauty, the dangers were immediate. Noah had no water, no food, and his wounds throbbed painfully. With grim determination, Noah began moving forward, limping where necessary, scanning the dense undergrowth for signs of water. Hours passed, the sun climbing higher, and his throat burned with thirst. Sweat mixed with the grime on his face as he pushed forward, until, finally, a glimmer of silver appeared through the foliage. Noah hurried toward it and discovered a narrow, meandering river, the water clear and cool, reflecting the green canopy above. He collapsed beside the riverbank, scooping water with his hands to wash the dried blood from his wounds. The chill of the water revived him slightly, and he tore pieces of his shirt to clean his deep cuts. Carefully, he pressed the fabric into his wounds, both to protect them from infection and to staunch the bleeding. His body shivered from exhaustion, but he felt the pulse of hope returning. Survival, he realized, depended not just on strength but on cleverness, resourcefulness, and careful observation. As he rested, Noah noticed movement across the river bank. His gaze sharpened, and there it was, a creature unlike any he had ever seen. Its body was sleek, its wings injured, one bent at a sharp angle from an attack it had endured. Blood stained its feathers, and it limped forward with painstaking effort. Noah's first instinct was caution, but then he recognized the creature's eyes, filled with fear, pain, and a desperate intelligence. Noah approached slowly, extending a hand in a gesture of peace. The creature flinched but did not flee. Its wing trembled, making it impossible for it to fly. Noah understood immediately that the creature needed help, just as he had needed help earlier. Using the makeshift bandage from his own shirt, he carefully wrapped the injured wing, supporting it with gentle hands. The creature winced but allowed him, recognizing Noah as a friend rather than a threat. Once the wing was stabilized, Noah helped the creature onto his shoulders. The hybrid instincts of the animal allowed it to see ally. The jungle around them seemed alive with anticipation. The creatures of the Amazon watched from the shadows, their eyes reflecting the filtered sunlight. Noah and the injured winged creature slowly made their way along the river, Noah's wounds cleaned and bandaged, the river providing a path and a lifeline. The forest was dense, teeming with the unseen hum of life, each rustle and chirp a reminder that danger could strike at any moment. Despite his injuries and exhaustion, Noah felt a renewed determination. He was not alone anymore. The injured winged creature had formed a fragile bond with him, a reminder that even in the harshest environments, trust and cooperation could create lifelines. Together, they would navigate this uncharted wilderness, find sustenance, and face the deeper mysteries hidden in the heart of the Amazon. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the river, Noah looked forward with a mix of caution and resolve. The jungle had tested him relentlessly, but he had survived. Now, with new allies at his side, the adventure was far from over, and the deeper secrets of the Amazon awaited. Noah's legs ached, his body still tender from previous injuries, but the pulse of determination in his chest propelled him forward. The river beside him sparkled faintly in the filtered sunlight, a narrow lifeline weaving through the dense jungle. Every step he took, he felt the soft squish of damp soil beneath his boots, the subtle rustle of unseen creatures, and the weight of unseen eyes watching. The Amazon was alive, and it had not forgotten him. The winged creature perched cautiously on his shoulders, wings folded protectively, its injured limb wrapped in makeshift bandages. Noah could feel the faint tremor in its muscles, an uneasy reminder that the creature's recovery was far from complete. Yet, there was trust in its gaze, a silent agreement between the two that they would survive together. Noah scanned the dense foliage on both sides of the river, noting fallen logs, thick vines, and patches of glowing moss. Every step demanded attention. A simple misstep could send him tumbling into hidden holes or attract the attention of predators lurking unseen. Yet the river also promised life, water to drink, fish to catch, and a path that could guide them deeper into the wilderness. After hours of cautious walking, the river widened slightly, revealing a cluster of natural pools. Noah knelt beside one, cupping his hands to drink the cool water, letting it wash over his parched throat. He then gently guided the winged creature to the edge, encouraging it to drink. Its beak dipped into the river carefully, eyes wary but trusting. Noah felt a surge of relief. Both of them were still alive, still moving forward. The jungle around them began to change subtly. Trees grew taller, their roots thicker, and vines twisted through the air like serpents. Strange calls echoed from the canopy above, some bird-like, some alien, sending shivers down Noah's spine. Each sound reminded him that the Amazon held both beauty and danger in equal measure. Suddenly, movement in the underbrush caught his attention. A small creature, unlike anything he had seen, darted past, luminous scales glinting in the sunlight, almost camouflaged against the glowing moss. Noah froze, motioning for the winged creature to remain still. The creature's instincts kicked in, wings tensing, but it stayed calm on Noah's shoulder. The small creature disappeared as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind a faint trail of glowing spores in the air. Noah exhaled slowly. "This jungle, it's alive," he whispered, marveling at the intricate ecosystem around him. Even as his body ached, he felt a profound sense of awe. Survival was not just about moving forward, it was about understanding the rhythm of the jungle, respecting it, and moving with it. Hours passed, and exhaustion began to weigh heavily on Noah. He knew he had to find a safe place to rest before nightfall. The river forked into two narrower streams, one winding into shadowed jungle, the other into a slightly more open area. Noah chose the open side, hoping it offered a vantage point and fewer hidden dangers. Carefully, he made his way to a cluster of towering trees with thick roots, creating a natural shelter. Once there, Noah set up a small, makeshift resting area using branches, leaves, and moss. The winged creature hopped down cautiously, inspecting the surroundings. Noah tore a strip from his shirt and used it to fashion a padded spot for the creature to rest its injured wing. They settled down, both exhausted but alert. The jungle was alive with sounds, the distant roar of a predator, the whisper of wind through leaves, and the soft drip of water from the canopy above. As he rested, Noah allowed himself to reflect. The past few days had been a test of every skill he possessed: strength, courage, observation, and resourcefulness. Yet he had learned something essential: he was not alone. The winged creature, once just a mysterious companion, had become a lifeline, a partner in survival, and a guide through the enigmatic Amazon. Night began to fall, the jungle transforming into a realm of shadows and glowing bioluminescence. Strange creatures began to emerge, their eyes glowing like distant stars, their calls echoing in the still night. Noah kept the winged creature close, whispering soothing words to calm it. He knew that the jungle was most dangerous after dark, yet it also revealed wonders invisible during the day. Suddenly, a faint rustling sounded from the shadows beyond the river bank. Noah's pulse quickened. The winged creature lifted slightly, wings flaring instinctively. From the darkness emerged a large, sleek predator, its eyes reflecting the faint bioluminescent glow of the forest. Noah froze, knowing that any sudden movement could provoke an attack. The creature sniffed the air, circling cautiously, then, almost surprisingly, retreated into the dense undergrowth. Noah exhaled, relief washing over him, but he knew this was only a temporary reprieve. The jungle was filled with predators, mysteries, and unseen dangers, and the winged creature depended on him as much as he depended on it. As he lay down under the towering roots, he whispered a promise to himself and to his companion: they would survive this wilderness, uncover its secrets, and emerge stronger. The night settled around them, full of mystery, danger, and the rhythmic heartbeat of the Amazon. Noah closed his eyes, listening to the jungle, feeling the pulse of life and energy around him. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more discoveries, and more tests of courage. But for now, he and the winged creature rested, ready to face the next chapter of their journey. As Noah ventured deeper into the Amazon's hidden layers, each step carried him into a world that felt older than time itself, a place untouched by humanity and shaped only by nature's ancient hands, where every rustle of leaves whispered secrets of centuries long gone, and the air grew thicker with mystery and enchantment. The winged creature perched on his shoulder breathed softly, its tiny chest rising and falling, feeling safer with Noah than anywhere else. And together they walked into shadows that glowed faintly with drifting spores, making the jungle look alive, as if it were breathing right along with them. The river beside him narrowed into braided streams, weaving around moss-covered stones, and Noah followed their path until he reached a place where enormous trees grew so tall they vanished into the fog above, their roots twisting like muscles across the earth, shaping natural bridges and tunnels. Every few steps, he saw animals unlike anything taught in biology classes: small, silver-furred monkeys with luminous rings around their eyes, colorful frogs the size of his palm that emitted soft blue light, and large elk-like creatures with dark emerald antlers that shimmered whenever sunlight touched them. Noah paused in awe, trying to control his breath, because everything around him felt unreal, like stepping into a forgotten dimension. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew from above, strong enough to shake entire branches, and Noah looked up instantly, his eyes widening as his heartbeat stuttered, for slicing through the clouds were enormous dragon-like creatures, wings stretching wider than boats, covered in shimmering scales that reflected sunlight like shattered glass, their long tails flowing behind them like banners made of fire and shadow. They circled high in the sky, letting out deep, thunder-like roars that made the ground tremble, yet instead of fear, Noah felt a strange sense of wonder, as if he were witnessing the guardians of this hidden world. The winged creature on his shoulder chirped in excitement, fluttering its injured wing, as if calling out to the dragons. One of them even tilted in the air, gliding lower for a moment, its golden eyes scanning the jungle, and for a heartbeat Noah thought their gazes met. Heart pounding, he slowly continued forward, stepping over twisted roots and pushing aside giant leaves as large as doors. He entered a new part of the forest where warm light fell through the canopy like streams of gold, illuminating the dust-filled air, and everywhere he looked, he observed new life, tiny foxes with bioluminescent tails, birds with rainbow feathers shaped like spirals, and giant turtles with shells covered in glowing moss that looked like constellations floating across their backs. The deeper Noah went, the more alive the jungle felt. Vines moved slightly on their own as if reacting to his presence, flowers opened when he passed by, releasing soft fragrances, and the ground beneath him vibrated faintly, as though a heartbeat pulsed under the soil. He soon reached a canyon-like clearing where the river cascaded down a cliff in a tall, misty waterfall, scattering rainbows over the scene. Noah stepped closer, admiring how the water droplets floated in the air like tiny crystals, until suddenly he heard rustling nearby, heavy, slow, rhythmic, as if something massive was walking between the trees. Noah froze, his breath tightening, but instead of a predator, from the shadows emerged a giant creature resembling an enormous panther with forest-green fur and glowing amber eyes. Though intimidating, the panther moved calmly, and as it approached, Noah realized vines were naturally growing from its back, forming a crown-like shape around its neck, and each step it took made nearby plants respond, flowers unfurling, insects scattering, branches lowering respectfully. The creature lowered its head slightly in Noah's direction, almost like a greeting, before gracefully crossing the clearing, disappearing into the golden light. Noah stood speechless, overwhelmed by the beauty and strangeness around him, but he knew he couldn't stop. There was something deeper in this jungle calling him, pulling him forward like a silent voice echoing inside his chest. He moved onward until he reached an area where the trees formed natural arches, their trunks twisted into patterns resembling ancient symbols, and as he passed under them, the temperature shifted subtly, the air becoming cooler, filled with the sound of distant echoes. Wind? Waterfalls? Or something else? Noah couldn't tell. Suddenly, from the foliage emerged a group of small, furry creatures with wings like hummingbirds and faces resembling baby lions. They chirped, fluttering around Noah harmlessly, brushing against his arms as if welcoming him, and the winged creature on his shoulder chirped back playfully, finally feeling joyful after hours of tension. But the peace didn't last long. As Noah advanced further, the jungle suddenly went silent, completely still, as if the world inhaled and held its breath. Noah raised his head and saw shadows shifting behind the trees, tall humanoid shapes walking slowly, rhythmically, their footsteps shaking leaves loose from branches, and for a moment fear crawled up Noah's spine, but then the sky above burst open with a powerful roar. The dragons returned, this time flying lower, their massive wings beating the air with thunderous force, and Noah realized they weren't attacking, they were warning. The ground beneath him vibrated again, stronger this time, and a deep echo rolled through the earth, like something enormous awakening beneath the soil. Noah's breathing quickened, his heart racing, yet something about this moment felt destined, like he was standing at the edge of a revelation far greater than anything he had imagined. With courage rising in him and the winged creature clutching his shoulder tightly, Noah stepped forward into the trembling jungle, unaware that this next step would lead him into the true heart of this unseen world, a place where secrets slept, where legends were born, and where Noah's destiny was waiting just ahead. Noah pushed deeper into the jungle, each step sinking into the mossy ground as the air grew heavy with mist that shimmered faintly like scattered stardust, and although he felt a strange energy humming through the atmosphere, the silence around him felt almost too perfect, as if the jungle itself was holding its breath before revealing its next secret. From the branches above, clusters of translucent insects hovered, their wings beating so fast they left behind glowing circular trails, and Noah watched with a mix of awe and caution, knowing by now that every beautiful thing in this forest had the potential to be terrifying, but still he moved forward, guided by the faint hum of distant running water and the sound of huge leaves rustling under invisible steps. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath him, not violently, but deep and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of some giant creature buried beneath the soil, and Noah froze, tightening the ripped cloth around his shoulder wound as he slowly crouched, scanning the tree line. That was when he saw it, a towering shape moving between the shadows, thick as a boulder and covered in bark like armor, and as it stepped into the dim light, Noah realized it wasn't a creature made of flesh but rather a living mass of vines, branches, roots, and hardened wood, its glowing amber core pulsing like a heart trapped inside a living tree. The creature turned its massive head toward Noah, leaves rustling with every motion, and a deep creaking groan escaped its chest like dying wood being crushed under pressure. But instead of attacking, it simply observed him, its glowing core brightening as if it recognized something within him. Noah slowly stood up, raising his hands peacefully, and the creature responded by lowering its vine-covered head, revealing hundreds of tiny luminous insects living inside its wooden body, darting in and out like fireflies protecting a giant guardian. When Noah took a step forward, the creature suddenly slammed its heavy root-covered arm into the ground, splitting the earth and revealing a glowing network of roots pulsing with bioluminescent light, forming a path that extended deeper into the jungle, and Noah, unsure whether it was guiding him or warning him, decided to follow, walking cautiously along the glowing root trail until the forest opened into a wide clearing where the sky was visible. But the sky had changed. Storm clouds twisted above him, but not natural clouds. These were alive, moving with intention, swirling into shapes that resembled giant serpents made of vapor, illuminated by pale blue lightning that forked silently across the sky, and Noah felt a prickling sensation on his skin as the air charged with an unnatural electricity. A sudden gust of wind forced him back a step as a massive shadow swooped overhead, a gigantic sky serpent with enormous feathered wings, its scales reflecting lightning, and its elongated body weaving between the living storm clouds as though it were a guardian of the sky. As Noah watched the creature circle, its glowing eyes locked onto him, and for a moment he feared it might dive toward him, but instead it opened its jaws and released a deep, echoing call that rippled across the forest like a vibrating wave, awakening everything hidden beneath the canopy. The trees shook, birds scattered in swarms of bright colors, and from the far side of the clearing, a pack of wolf-like animals emerged, each with crystal spikes growing along their spines and their paws leaving cold mist on the ground with every step. They circled Noah, their breaths forming frost clouds even in the tropical heat. And Noah slowly reached for a broken branch on the ground, but before he could lift it, the wooden giant appeared behind him, slamming its huge arm into the earth, creating a shockwave that scared the wolves away. Noah realized then that this creature was protecting him, but why? As he turned to thank it, even though it couldn't understand his words, the guardian's body suddenly stiffened, its glowing core dimming as though something had disturbed it, and then Noah heard it too, a faint whistling sound echoing from high above. He looked up just in time to see the sky serpent's scales changing color, shifting from blue to dark crimson, and its movement growing frantic as if something invisible had struck it. The storm clouds twisted violently, forming a massive vortex above the clearing, and in the center of that vortex, Noah saw them, the Draka, shadowy winged creatures made of smoke and bone, flying in a synchronized spiral, their eyes burning bright red as they tightened the storm around the serpent, forcing it lower and lower. Noah watched in horror as the serpent fought back, lightning crackling across its wings, but the Draka swarmed, tearing at its body with clawed vapor hands, until the serpent crashed into the treetops with a thunderous impact that shook the whole forest. The wooden guardian roared, a deep, shaking groan, and vines burst from its arms, reaching into the trees to pull away fallen branches as if urging Noah to follow. But the Draka noticed the movement, and 3 of them dove toward the guardian, slicing through the air like smoky daggers. Noah ducked instinctively as one passed inches over his head, its ghostly form cold enough to sting his skin, and the guardian swung its massive arm, smashing one creature into a cloud of dissolving smoke, but 2 more latched onto its chest, tearing at the glowing core until the light flickered dangerously. Realizing the wooden creature was about to fall, Noah jumped forward, grabbing a sharp crystal that had broken off a wolf earlier, and drove it into one of the Draka, causing the creature to release an ear-piercing shriek before exploding into mist. The last Draka snarled silently and reached for Noah, but the guardian, with the last of its strength, threw its arm between them, shielding Noah from the attack and absorbing the blow that shattered its core into golden dust that scattered into the air like dying fireflies. The creature collapsed, its wooden body breaking apart into lifeless branches, and Noah stood there shaking, breathing heavily, surrounded by the fading glow of its remains. The storm above weakened, the draka retreating into the sky, and the jungle fell into an eerie silence once again. Noah knelt beside the remains of the guardian, placing a hand on its bark-like surface, whispering a quiet thank you, knowing that once again something in this jungle had chosen to save him, and he had no idea why. Noah stumbled through the thick, humid undergrowth, every breath shallow and shaky, as if the weight of the jungle itself was pressing down on his chest. His body trembled from exhaustion, days of running, bleeding, surviving, and fighting alongside or against creatures no human had ever known had finally drained the last bit of strength he had left. His clothes, already torn by branches, claws, and rough ground, now clung heavily to his sweat-soaked skin. His stomach twisted painfully, tightening with every step. The hunger was no longer just discomfort, it was agony. He felt dizziness circling his vision, the jungle spinning softly with each breath. His lips were cracked, dry, and his legs dragged as if heavy stones were tied to them. He whispered to himself, "I need to eat. Anything. Just something." His voice faded into the dense, damp silence of the deep Amazon, a place where the sun barely touched the ground. The thick canopy above blocked almost all daylight, turning everything into a green-tinted twilight. He pushed away large ferns, moving deeper into an area he did not recognize, where the air smelled sweeter, fruit somewhere nearby, maybe something edible. He forced himself forward, clutching his stomach with one hand and pushing off tree trunks with the other. His muscles ached with every movement. His knees buckled more than once, but he refused to let himself fall. Oxygen burned in his lungs. Desperation pushed him onward. And then he saw it. Through a narrow opening in the foliage, sunlight broke through like a golden pillar, illuminating a tall coconut tree, an unbelievably rare sight in this part of the jungle. The tree stood alone in a small clearing, its trunk smooth and tall, swaying gently as if inviting him. At the top hung a cluster of large coconuts, fresh and heavy with water and sweet flesh, life, real, precious life. Noah exhaled in relief, a weak smile forming on his exhausted face. "Thank God," he whispered. He dragged himself to the base of the tree and wrapped his arms around the trunk. His arms shook violently. The bark scratched against his scraped skin. His legs pushed, trying to lift him upward, but weakness fought against him. He managed to climb only half a meter before slipping back down, landing hard on his feet. Pain shot up his spine, but he ignored it. He tried again, gripping tighter, pushing harder, but his weakened muscles failed again. He dropped back down, his chest heaving, his breath ragged. Sweat dripped down his forehead, stinging the cuts on his face. He leaned his forehead against the tree, whispering, "Come on, Noah, come on, you can do this," but his body was refusing. Still, he tried again. And again. His nails dug into the bark. His knees scraped. His arms trembled so hard he could barely hold the trunk. He climbed only a little each time before falling. His vision blurred. His heartbeat pounded loudly in his ears. Hunger felt like burning knives twisting through his stomach. He slid down for the 10th time, collapsing to his knees, palms pressed to the dirt. He was so close to life, yet so powerless to reach it. He closed his eyes, breathing in slowly. The jungle murmured around him, distant calls, rustling leaves, gentle wind, but then something new, something faint caught his ear. A soft thump, 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 from the branches above. Noah opened his eyes and slowly lifted his head, confused. A shadow moved high in the canopy. At first, he thought it was just another monkey-like creature, but as the figure approached the coconut cluster, Noah realized it was nothing he had seen before. It was a small arboreal creature with a long, curled tail and fur patterned like bark. Its limbs were slender and flexible, allowing it to climb effortlessly. But its most unique feature was its hands, broad, leaf-like palms that seemed made for gripping and tearing vegetation. The creature tilted its head and looked down at Noah with glowing amber eyes, curious rather than afraid. Noah whispered breathlessly, "Please, please just drop one." The creature blinked slowly, almost as if understanding. Then it reached up and tapped a coconut cluster. One coconut loosened, swung on its stem slightly, and fell straight toward the ground. Thud! It landed just a few feet from Noah. He gasped, crawling toward it with trembling hands. His fingers wrapped around the hard shell, pulling it close as if it were treasure. He had no tools, no knife, but his survival instinct had always guided him. He picked up a sharp-edged stone from the ground and began hitting the coconut. Each strike hurt his hands, but he didn't stop. Crack after crack, until finally, the shell split open and crystal-clear water spilled out. Noah lifted it instantly, drinking greedily. Water dripped down his chin, soaking his shirt, but he didn't care. It was cold, sweet, and life-saving. He scraped out the soft white flesh with his fingers, eating ravenously. Every bite felt like strength flowing back into his limbs. When he finished, he fell backward onto the ground, panting, but relieved, alive again. He looked up at the tree, but the creature had already vanished, leaving only a rustle in the leaves. Noah whispered, "Thank you, or whatever you were." A soft breeze stirred the clearing, carrying with it the sound of distant creatures, both peaceful and dangerous. Noah sat up slowly, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. His body still ached, but he was no longer dying. He had enough strength to stand. He looked deeper into the jungle, knowing he had no choice but to continue. The Amazon wasn't done with him. New mysteries, new threats, and new creatures were waiting. He inhaled, tightened the cloth on his injured arm, and stepped forward once more.